Okay, I thought what I would do next is remove this front axle beam. The pivots are quite worn, and I don't know where they are worn. I don't know whether my milling machine's big enough to deal with this or not, but it doesn't matter, we'll contract it out if we need to. Now, on the front pin here, the front pin has 2 holes in it, and it has a plate, 2 countersunk Allen head machine screws, fine thread, and they have some shims. And these shims on the front here, they decide how much forward and backward movement your axle has once it's assembled later on. So whether we need them or not, or how many we need, we don't know, but we keep them. So they were quite difficult to get out. Now, I smacked the head of them hard with a punch and a hammer, just trying to belt shit out of them to jar them a little bit. It didn't work, still couldn't get them. They're a 1/4 inch Allen head bolt, Allen key goes in the Allen head bolt, and they had been buggered around with over time. So what I ended up doing was I got a number 45, a T45 torque socket, and I bashed that in. And what that does, it leaves the flat alone, but it dials in on the corners there. So I banged that in, got the 3/8 drive ratchet, and they came undone nicely. So that was a good thing. You may notice these silver bolts here. If you remember, I pulled that steering tower off here and I broke a bolt there. So I've gone and bought new bolts, grade 8, half UNC, so it's half 13, I suppose. And half UNC. I was just trying to think of that, but I couldn't. And so they're just sitting in there. I still have to tap the threads out and all that, but we're going to pull the front bolster off. But what I've done to do this axle here, I've got a sling each side and the endless chain, the gantry straight above, and you can see the slop in here. So that's quite a bit of movement. So what I want to do is just not quite take the weight, have it so it's still slopping around. Now there's a pedestal down here and it has 4 bolts in it. They look like 5/8 UNC bolts. The head is 1 1/16. There's 4 of them. I've taken the back 2 out and I've still got the front 2 here. So I'll drop those out. I'd loosened them off. Thought I loosened them off earlier. Yep, that's a go. I'll undo those. The axle is now supported. So by undoing this front support, we should be able to pull the axle out of the back support. And the back support is this main frame here. So I'm just hoping this is the bush for the, I think this might be the front bush, S42210. This may be the front one. I think I'm waiting on supply of the back ones. And they're a steel backed brass bush, so I'm hoping that a bush will fix it. If it doesn't, and we've got to have the pin machined or something like that, well, we'll decide which way we go from there on. Okay, so there's the 4 bolts. So they have 1 1/16 heads, where those bolts, normal UNC bolts, would have 1 1/8 head, I believe. Yes, they would. So I can probably drop that down a tad. Oh, a big tad. So the bush, I don't know if you can see, but the bush is actually missing up here. It's not on the top, like the bush is still there on the top, but it's missing down the side there. So, but it still does look round, and that is a bonus. Even if there's a slight little deviation here and there's enough round the back, we can fill that in with a bit of JB weld or something for bush support and make sure it greases and things like that. It's got a grease nipple here, but there's not a, see all the brown in there, they haven't run a grease gun over it in quite a long time. So that pin does feel pretty good. often when bushes and that wear, you can feel a little mushroomed edge, and look, there's not much there. So, okay, I'll take the axle up slightly. Now I don't know where the weight is, it might come out and want to spin around on us. Oh, that's lovely. So I'll bring the gantry this way. Oh shit. Give the camera, I'll give the tripod a little bit of a tickle up, but that's all right. So there's also a washer in here. Now that washer there, you could also make a washer there. If this was all worn and the housing was worn, you could make a thicker washer there to take out some movement and then adjust it with the shims. So I'll bring this axle out and we'll turn it around. Now we've bumped the camera, I just got to, oh yes, you can see. But I may drop that down a little bit for you. There we go. And so we also have a round housing there, but I can see that one's quite worn. Now, you can see that, oh, you can feel that. There's a lot of wear. Look, the sides are good, there's just a lot of wear just there. And that's, funny enough, that's off centre. You'd think it'd be right in the middle, it's off centre. So, I don't know, I won't be able to tell what the bush is like. I think I might be able to, oh yes, I can feel the end of the bush. So it has worn into that housing slightly, but how much I don't know. We may be able to put the bush in and back it up with Devcon or something like that later on. So the front bush looks okay, the back, the pin here looks terrible. Now I wonder, I'm just looking to see if it'll be feasible to put this in the milling machine, get this pin bored out and another one, bored out, and where this housing comes, go right through, make a new pin, weld a new pin in, and away you go. So I don't know what we're doing there. I'll get this axle away, out of our way, and yeah, we'll just go from there. I might turn this around again. Now this bush goes that way. And that's the movement in that housing. But I'll put this on the bench and I'll show you that bush. I'm pretty sure that bush will just fold out, but I can probably just sit the other one over and just check it for out around and see. But that, I feel the front's serviceable. I can use that somehow. This surface is nice and flat, so that it would go on the milling machine okay. But yeah, drilling and boring this pin out, that might be an exciting exercise. Anyway, look, that's just swinging that out. I just thought I'd video that, make a little clip of getting that out. And yeah, we'll go and find something else interesting to do. I will probably take this piece off next, and then we just have the bare engine there. And the idea will be to get the engine, put the engine on the stand and start stripping that. It should be interesting from there, I believe. So anyway, we'll get this out of the way and see how we go.